In a few minutes, we'll get into this as it applies on a city-by-city basis. But among the other concerns that are kind of macro in this election, the Plan Bay Area, this idea of regional planning as something that comes home to affect housing and other decisions on the home turf. This has become a higher profile issue just in the last few months. Dick, you've kind of been fanning the flames on that.
No. I tell the truth.
Well,
who is the one that says, Harry Truman says, I just tell the truth, they only think it's hell.
Without then getting into cause, let's talk about the effect.
Politically, the effect. The Plan Bay Area is interesting in that around the Bay Area there's different opposition groups to it. Marin County's traditional view, at least for most of it, is that it's a slow growth community, very environmentally sensitive. Planning is a big deal. I mean, it's just pulling teeth sometimes to get anything done. But the upside of that is that you've built a community people are quite proud of. This is an area where people say, we like it, it's just great, don't screw it up. And the feeling is that Bay Area regional staff people, ABAG, Metropolitan Transportation Committee, have their own agenda. And the agenda is higher development.
Screw it up?
Well, that's the fear, higher development. I'll say in some parts of the Bay Area, conservative guys have come down the pike and said, oh, don't tell us what to do, this is freedom of what we want to do. That's not the Marin County approach. They're happy with regulation. They're not opposed to regulation of land use. They just want to make sure their local governments control it. And they're afraid that the regional governments with a different agenda, lots of high density building, will change the feel of a small town community.
So is this rippling through to the city council, Sashi? Are you seeing this in some of the cities you've been looking at?
Absolutely, particularly in cities like Corte Madera. Corte Madera has withdrawn from the Association of Bay Area Governments.
That's a bold step.
Specifically in reaction to this One Bay Area plan. The One Bay Area plan was intended to be a solution to the requirements of SB 375, which is reduction of vehicle emissions. And this was a proposal to do that. And that's something that ABAG put forward and that towns like Corte Madera were opposed to.
By that, the rationale is putting housing, high-density housing near transit centers.
Well, the objection has been, and this is a fight that goes on for a long time, but the objection has been people make their housing decisions based on something else other than where they work. There's been very little studies done, perhaps for a reason, to indicate what actually happens when you do it. So it's one of the things where it seems logical, and then you start asking, but what if questions? You know, your job is not necessarily, do you live next door to the KRCB? The answer is no, for lots of reasons.
Sure.
And if they built a building, apartment house across the street, would you move there?
And they're going to.
And are you going to move there?
No, probably not.
Probably not. So that's part of the controversy, which is being fought out quite intensely in some towns. San Rafael, Randy Warren, a candidate we're going to mention, is running on that basis.
Well, let's do this now.